wide angle landscapes seem really simple. Just point your camera at the epic view, press the button, and they are done, right? Well, not quite. Most of the time, what we get back is actually just disappointing, flat, lifeless, and those mountains that looked really impressive in real life, they just vanish into the distance. Here's the truth. Wide-angle landscapes are much tougher than they look, and even professional photographers can struggle to nail down wide-angle shots. In this video, I'll break down some of my own failures and successes and share some quick lessons and show you how tiny changes can make a big impact. Stick around and I'll show you how to make your wide-angle shots look more cinematic and not flat. But first, what's your favourite lens for landscape photography? Let everyone know in the comments down below. People love reading stuff like that, so they get new ideas for lenses they might want to try out. This first picture is taken from the King's House in Glencoe. This is a spot where people usually go to photograph deer, and that's why I was there on this day. But there were no deer in sight. I waited for 2 hours and just didn't see any of them anywhere. I didn't know why at first, but I soon found out why. And it was because there was a storm rolling in. And it was a pretty big storm as well. And I think that they knew it and they were hiding. So I was waiting around for them to turn up in this location that is usually flat and kind of lifeless. Whilst you've got these mountains in the background, and it kind of looks impressive in this picture, most of the time it doesn't look like this. But what really changed on this day was as this storm came in. We got this storm lighting, which is characterized by having more dramatic clouds with bits of light poking through. So in this instance, I had to kind of switch modes, go away from trying to photograph the deer and think, what's the opportunity that's right in front of me? And as the light hit the ground, I was like, right, I'm going to get my wide angle lens out. So for this picture, I used the Canon 5D Mark II with the 17-40 f4 at f8, and this was a bracketed exposure. So I took 3 pictures to get the exposure. So the lesson that I want you to take away from this picture is very specifically that wide angle can absolutely work if the lighting is adding depth. The following year, going back to the same location at the King's House, you've got about 9 deer around you, and I'm trying to separate and get just one. The key for me for this picture was that mountain in the background. It had this cloud that was sort of rolling over it and slightly swirling around it. This was about 30 millimeters and it was taken at f6.3. The key to this picture was subject separation. I had to frame the deer at exactly the right spot. This comes from portrait photography. Sometimes it amazes me how much overlap there is between genres. But in portrait photography, when you're doing it outdoors, there's this saying, head in a clean space, which means literally try to make it so there's not loads of things sticking out of someone's head. The lesson of this picture is that wide angle doesn't let you hide anything. Every layer in the frame, the subject, the background, the atmosphere, all of it has to work together. This is the White House in Glencoe, as if you didn't know that. At the time when I took this picture, I hadn't seen anyone take it from this angle before. I took the same pictures that most people take. And I thought to myself, is there anything more than this? Can I find a different angle, something new, a different perspective? The thing that stood out to me wasn't just the path, but it was those steps that you can see in the background. Those steps lead past the trees and they lead out into the unknown. And I thought, this is such a strong story in this image because the path leads to the house, then the house leads to the steps, and we can't see fully what's beyond the trees. The trees act like a screen hiding what's in the distance. So it's like the great unknown that's out there. But we have these steps to allow you to climb over the fence there and go and explore that. I just loved that story in the picture. I thought it was really nice. So I had to take this picture. This picture was taken on the Canon 5D Mark II on the 17-40 at 25mm at f8. One of the things that was really interesting when taking this shot was that the height that the camera was at had quite a big effect on how the composition looks. This was a clear example of when getting the camera lower really emphasizes the foreground and starts to diminish the middle ground. So what I did in the editing was I really tried to draw your eyes in by lighting up the path, the house, emphasizing that lighting in the background, and just trying to use editing to tell the story a little bit better. This is actually one of the pictures that's in my landscape editing workshop. I edit this from start to finish so you can see everything that's going on, and you actually get the raw files as well so you can join in too. The thing this photograph taught me about wide angle lenses and the lesson that you can learn from it is just how important the height of your camera is. And the easiest way to do this, to find out what height you should be at, is use live view on the back of your camera and just raise it up and down and notice how the proportions of foreground, middle ground and background change. And then pick the thing that you like the most that emphasizes the things that you want to emphasize in your pictures. Now, this picture is the lone tree at Llyn Padarn in Wales, in Snowdonia National Park. This picture took me 5 days to take because one day I had to drive the best part of 300 miles. I had to wait 4 days for these weather conditions to happen. That was a combination of having something of a sunrise and absolutely no wind. This is not an easy effort for most people. Whilst this tree looks really impressive in this picture, if you're not at this angle, it looks so rubbish. It really looks rubbish. I was like, is that really it? And then when I was putting my camera into, different positions, like, oh, okay, right, yes. That taught me something, that taught me like, okay, the difference that you get at different heights is absolutely incredible. Because if I took this picture from the side at full head height, you'd say, why on earth would you take a picture of that? Now, let's get into the details of this picture. This was taken on the Canon RP with a 17-40 on an adapter, and it was taken f8 at 22mm at a 15th of a second. This picture to me does not work if there's any wind, because you need this mirror-like lake. The lesson for me was that in many ways wide-angle lenses are just really unforgiving. Every element in the picture can really fall apart if you don't get your focal length right and your camera positioning right. And more so than that is that all of the other things that with wide angles have to come together, such as the weather, like having the light in the background like this and the mistiness, because with a longer lens, you could probably do more on days that didn't have good weather. Like you could probably isolate parts and get away with it. But with a wide angle lens, you can't get away with it. Okay, now we're going to go on to the 11-hour drive. I mean, good 11 hours. This is the Glencoe, I think I'm pronouncing that right, Glencoe Bridge in the Assynt region of Scotland, which is really far north in Scotland. That light needed to be low because I wanted it to catch the bridge like this. It had to catch it at a super low angle and hit it from the side. Because the ground here, it's bumpy and hilly, but this area is not really mountainous. Yeah, there's some in the background. And in order to make land like that actually look interesting, you need low angle side lighting. It's going to catch on one side and shade the other. And that's going to make everything look way more dramatic. I think in general with landscape photography, it's always the lighting that makes things look, cinematic. We need a better word, but you know what I mean, right? And so for me, the lesson with this picture is that wide angle will exaggerate the weaknesses. Without that side lighting, it's going to look flat and dead. So you have to compensate for that. And the way to do that is to shoot at the right time of day so you get the lighting like this. So to sum up that lesson, it's that wide angle will exaggerate weaknesses. So the conditions have to be strong. If you like these pictures and you want to see a little bit more stuff like this, I have a free ebook on landscape photography. The links are in the description down below. I also have an editing workshop as well, where I show you how I edit my pictures from start to finish, and all of the raw files are in that workshop as well, so you can edit along with me. Consider subscribing and give me a thumbs up, and I hope to see you all again in my next video. Take care. Bye-bye.